We have more information about the potato Xbox Series S, and the Xbox Series X continues to show why it is the most powerful console on the market. So the Xbox Series S has been a topic of a lot of debate over the last month or so, with all of the back and forth as to whether the Xbox Series S is holding back this generation of gaming. This is something that we have been talking about since they announced the Xbox Series S. Was the biggest difference in those teraflops, in the power, going to be something that held back the games coming out for these next generation of consoles? And I was always of the argument that I don't think it would whatsoever. This is going to be up to the developers to optimize their games. I mean, the CPU is virtually the same. It has that SSD. It has all of the features of the Series X. It just doesn't have the same amount of teraflops. And we saw plenty of examples throughout this first 2 years of gaming where the Series S is getting 60 frames per second. It's getting 120 or up to 120 frames per second with games like Call of Duty and Overwatch. And it's doing pretty amazing things for the price that you're paying for the Xbox Series S. Now actually going to be a $250 console over the holiday season. And I feel like there's always that conflict there. People don't sit back and look at the price of this thing and then the output of it and see that the value is incredible for the Xbox Series S. Well, we have another developer that is weighing in on the Xbox Series S and whether the console is holding back the generation, whether it's holding back development. And this time it is in the argument that it is not holding back this generation of gaming. So EvoS, this is a game coming out in a couple of weeks. Game looks absolutely incredible. It's one of those games that I feel like isn't getting as much hype as some of the other big games that are coming out this holiday season, but I think it's going to be really good. One of those hidden gems or one of those under the radar games that a lot of people are going to be talking about and checking out at some point. But the lead producer here for the game talks about the Xbox Series S and how it is not holding them back. So he was asked about the Xbox Series S and asked if the console limited them. And his response is that the Xbox Series S is an excellent market product, and specifically says, no, why would it? We're not forced to make the Series X version look exactly like the Series S, so we're not limited as developer. So that's it. That's the answer. That's the thing that I've been saying, a lot of people have been saying, is it comes down to the optimization from the developers as to how these games are going to be running on the Xbox Series S and hey, even on the Xbox Series X. If a developer decides in their mind that 60 frames per second is vital for the game to be experienced good in the Xbox Series S, they're going to make those adjustments to the resolution, to the effects, to all of the things with the visuals, like a dynamic resolution, to make sure that you are getting as close as possible to that 60 frames per second. If they decide, hey, 30 frames per second is enough, and we want to give the player an experience where you have almost all the effects that are on the Series X and a higher resolution, they're going to go that way. And that's exactly what he is saying here, something that I've argued, something that a lot of people have argued, and we've seen those examples from this Series S throughout this generation so far, where there's dynamic resolution for a lot of these games that are higher resolution, games going from like 900p to 1080p or 900p to 1440p, all of this type of stuff, so that the game hits that performance target that the developer wants. The developer doesn't optimize the game properly, there are going to be issues across the board. We saw this with Gotham Knights. PS5 and Xbox Series X had issues, 30 frames per second. It wasn't just the Series S. And that obviously had to do with the optimization from the actual developers, because you were getting that 60 frames per second with stuff on PC. Now, to be fair, EvoS is confirmed at 1080p 30 frames per second on the Xbox Series S. Again, this is the choice of the developer. They are deciding not to use a dynamic resolution to reach 60 frames per second on the Xbox Series S. And that's probably one of the main reasons why it will be at 30 FPS on the Series S. If you're on the Series X, you are going to be able to choose from 4K 30 or 1080p 60. So I think his response is short, it's concise, and it's exactly why the Series S is not holding back this generation of consoles and why it's still going to be a great console throughout this generation. Developers aren't forced to have any parity with the Series S and the Series X and even with the PlayStation 5. So it's great to see that more developers come out and say these things. It's something that we're still having to go back and forth on, because you have these random rogue people come out and just put out these comments. Obviously, they aren't that deep in total facts as to what is actually occurring with the Xbox Series S because we are seeing the real world examples. We are seeing games run well on the Series S, and we are seeing developers be able to make those adjustments so that the games hit that 60 frames per second or whatever target that they are trying to hit. And sticking on the Xbox Series S, this deal, like I mentioned earlier, it's getting even better. We are getting the Xbox Series S now for $50 off. As Xbox put this announcement out saying Black Friday, unwrap thrills with $50 off the Xbox Series S, 900 plus games on sale and more. So now the Xbox Series S, you're gonna be able to pick this up for $250, which is insane. It's absolutely insane. The price of the Xbox Series S can't be beaten. The value is just nuts because we are seeing, like I said, some games run really, really well in it, and you're getting access to everything that you're going to be able to play on the Xbox Series X and then mostly on the PlayStation 5 because obviously there's exclusives to the PS5. But you understand what I'm saying. All of these new upcoming next generation or current generation AAA games are going to be available on the Xbox Series S, and you can get into this for $250. An insane deal. So that's really great to see. And even here in Canada, I was seeing the prices for Black Friday. It is now going to be $310. So it's generally $380. So you're getting a great discount in Canada as well. And then you bundle that with all of the accessory discounts that are going to be coming, and then all of the Black Friday games that are going to be on sale. It's going to be a great holiday season for Xbox, even without that big hitting like God of War Ragnarok style of game that is going to be releasing with the console. People are going to be walking into stores. People are going to see the price of the Series S, and they're going to see all the games that you can get access to with Game Pass, and the thing is going to fly off the shelf. It's going to be very interesting to see all of the sales numbers after the holiday season, but I would bet the Series S and even the Series X are going to have incredible sales numbers. While we're on the topic of consoles, let's talk about the Xbox Series X. So since again, the beginning of this generation, there was this debate as to what was more powerful console, the Series X or the PlayStation 5. And the obvious answer, the common sense answer was that the Xbox Series X was going to be the more powerful console from everything that we saw from the specs and the answers for why the PS5 was going to be the better multi-platform console or be the more powerful console were just like these crazy answers that, in my opinion, just didn't make that much sense. And we are really starting to see this play out throughout this generation as A Plague Tale Requiem got a patch, and we are seeing a pretty big performance gap here between the Xbox Series X and the PlayStation 5. So I'll play this video here from J-Rock on Twitter, but it's from the Digital Foundry video. He just does a good job here clipping it out so you can make judgment for yourself.
Optimizations will affect all platforms, and the patch has indeed helped performance in a number of scenes. On PlayStation 5, this scene was pointed out by Tom as being noticeably limited below 30 FPS in his launch video, and I'm showing that right now on screen. With the latest version of the game, this scene runs an impressive 35% or better. So in the 30 FPS mode, it would be a locked 30 FPS here now. That performance uplift translates to the Xbox Series X version as well, where it was just above 30 FPS before, and now it is hitting 40 FPS VSync. Same on PC, and RTX 3080 was in the mid-40s before, but now it's just about 60 in this scene. This scene is purely GPU limited on PC, and that is likely what we are seeing on consoles as well. Performance uplifts can be found in other scenes that Tom highlighted. The Rat Explosion scene, for example, now runs much better on both platforms, but we can still see Xbox showing around a 20% or more performance advantage when things drop below 40 here in that 120 Hz mode. But now all versions are running better, and this is great news. And we can see the Xbox Series X GPU there is outperforming the PS5 GPU by around 25%. That percentage is higher than the near 20% difference they have in GPU compute, but it does align near perfectly with the advantage Xbox Series X has in raw memory bandwidth. 560 gigabytes per second GPU preferred RAM bandwidth there on the Series X versus 448 gigabytes per second on the PlayStation 5.
So I mean, there you have it. The Xbox Series X gets about a 20 plus performance advantage compared to the PS5 on Plague Tale Requiem, and the GPU itself overall has a 25% advantage, and it has a memory bandwidth advantage. It is a more powerful console, and if you're looking for the best third-party experience throughout the entirety of this generation, the Xbox Series X is going to be the console to pick up. And it's extremely important if you're somebody who really cares about all that type of stuff, because a lot of people who pick up a PlayStation 5 or an Xbox Series X, the main games that they are playing are third party. It's a big misconception that people only pick up a certain console because of the exclusives. We've seen the numbers come out, especially from the PlayStation side, where it's a fraction of the amount of people who have a PS5 that actually play their first party game. So the Series X expected to continue to outperform the PS5 throughout this generation. And then hopefully once they start implementing a lot of the RDNA 2 technology in there in terms of the things like fidelity, FX, super resolution, stuff like that is going to give the Xbox Series X an even bigger advantage going forward. Again, if it's optimized properly, if the devs can make sure that these games are running great across all the platforms. So that's it for me, guys. Let me know your thoughts here on the Xbox Series S and the Evil West producer claiming that it does not hold them back. And what do you think about the Xbox Series X being the most powerful console? If you enjoyed this video, make sure to hit that thumbs up button. If you're new here and you like what you saw, consider hitting that subscribe button. Thank you guys all for watching. Thank you for your support, and I'll catch you in the next video.
Bye.